My name is Zavrel, and I am here also to represent a nonprofit, so I was really excited that another nonprofit was participating today. My nonprofit is called Let Us Grow, and what we do is go into prisons across the state of Oregon and teach inmates to become master gardeners. Tell you a little bit about me and specifically how this got started. My background is not in agriculture. I am not a master gardener yet. I'll have the privilege of going through that's something that these guys are specifically writing about in their reflections. Somebody in a different presentation was talking about strength-based learning, and we see that happening too. Some of these guys bring gardening experience, whether they were growing legal crops or otherwise, and some of them bring better physical strength. Some of the older gentlemen, we have one guy who walks with a cane, so he's not able to lift heavy things, bags of fertilizer, soil. So anybody that brings a specific strength is able to contribute
certificate from the University of Illinois with hopes that they can have a better and prosperous future when they leave.
Okay, so then they talk a little bit more about the specifics of their program. I'll just get right back into ours. But really, really similar outcomes and really similar feedback from the inmates that we're working with as well. And that graduation ceremony, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the first time you graduated from anything, but most of these guys have never had that experience. And so to have that at 35, 45, 50
measure of the garden's benefits come with the reward of giving, of actually having contributed to the benefit and welfare of fellow human beings, and in tasting the fruits of the garden's collective labors. It is satisfying to know that it helps the institution be more self-sufficient. But there is nothing more rewarding and precious than knowing that the fresh vegetables and produce that your labors help produce will go to feed someone, especially those in the community who are hungry and need this food to eat. I have witnessed the hardest of men unable to conceal a true heartfelt smile when they exert themselves in labor to harvest, wash, prepare, and pack fresh vegetables and produce to donate to the community through the two Oregon community organizations the garden supports. Let us grow and the Marion Polk Food Share, respectively, with the Oregon Food Bank. It is all too easy today to visualize the tomato or the carrot or the cucumber you have raised, harvested, washed, and packed for delivery to these organizations in the hand of a hungry child or anyone else. But knowing that your labors might have placed that fresh vegetable or produce there is more rewarding than I can find words to adequately express. I know the other men I volunteer with in the garden share that feeling with me. No one, not a single volunteer, ever complains about the extent of work or the tasks assigned to them by the regular gardener.